turn off your audio and video, then we will continue the session. Other than that, when we come to the end of the session, we will post a short a link here, which is about the evaluation, the survey about this session. So feel free to fill them out. Okay, other than that, I think we're good to go, and I will pass the mic to Michelle.
Actually, Sheila is going to get us started. So,
all right, I'll get us started. So first of all, good morning, good afternoon, depending upon where you live. All three of us, Greg, Michelle, and I, want to give you a very warm welcome to our session, Team Teach in the 21st Century Classroom. And let me introduce myself. My name is Sheila Sampath. I have been in the healthcare industry for 30 years, primarily in the operational and administrative areas. I do have my own healthcare consulting company that does medical practice management, focusing on small medical offices. I've been with DeVry University for 20 years, and I am now in the curriculum development area in the College of Health Sciences. So that's a little bit about me. Let me turn over to Michelle.
hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Cranney. I have over 30 years of healthcare experience, and I've been teaching in education for over 25 years. I am an associate professor at DeVry University in the Teaching and Learning Department, and I currently teach medical coding classes in the Department of Health Sciences. Greg, I turn the time over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gregory Zaleski. I've worked in the healthcare industry since 1997. I started out as a medical coder and worked my way up to a health information management director and privacy officer. I've been with DeVry University for 11 years now. I've served in capacities such as the National Faculty Chair for the College of Health Sciences, as well as the Program Director for our CAHIM accredited programs. Sheila?
All right. So the next slide. So we've done introductions to ourselves, and before we go through the agenda as to what we're going to do today, you can either do a thumbs up or you can put something in the chat. We'd like to know how many of you have heard of Team Teach or are using Team Teach currently. And we'll take a look at the chat just so we can get to know our audience here. So if you've used Team Teach, you can do a thumbs up. Or you can put something in the chat. Oh, Kim has used it. Surprising. Okay. All right. So, all right. I'm using Team Teach, but I believe in a different. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, good. So it looks like for many of you, this will be a nice introduction. So our agenda today, and we think we have a fabulous agenda for you, is to just give you an idea of what Team Teach is and the benefits based on our studies and our research. Then we're going to tell you how we implemented it into the DeVry Team Teach model, some of the best practices that we discovered. And of course, there's always challenges. So we did have some challenges that we worked through, but we actually found, just as the research shows, that there were many more benefits that outweighed the challenges. So you'll see that in the outcomes at the very end of the presentation. And in fact, DeVry has increased the number of courses that we're utilizing Team Teach for. So that's our agenda for today. Let's go to the next slide. So if we want to look at the definition of Team Teach as our literature told us, it is basically a group of instructors that are coming together to collaborate and develop the most effective course and effective course delivery for the same group of students. Okay, and the premise is that the collaboration of these instructors will enhance the delivery and enhance the outcomes as well. So if we can go to the next slide, I'm going to get into a little bit of the details of the theory of Team Teach. Again, this is according to the literature that we researched. to do this, what I want to do is just give you a little example that we can work through. So let's say we have a course that's being taught, and there's 10 sections of this course. So therefore, there are 10 professors teaching this course, okay? And students are enrolled in each of these sections. So the theory is that all of these instructors, these 10 in our example, would be available to all of those students versus in a non-team teach model, there would be one professor with a group of students, and that's their exposure, okay? The collaboration that we spoke about earlier would be the professors getting together, the instructors getting together and deciding who is going to teach which concepts. And how is that done? That's done based on their real life experience, their expertise, and their comfort level. Okay, so once that is decided and the weekly lectures are delivered, they're delivered consistently, in our example, across all 10 sections because all of those students will be coming to one lecture, listening to the same instructor that particular week, and they will listen to the same the concept being delivered in the same manner, and any questions, etc., is all housed in one at one time. So therefore, the consistency is there across all 10 sections, and that could be a lot of students, right? Now, what is also really nice to see in this, again, in the Team Teach model, is that the resources are shared. So whatever is presented to those students and the resources such as perhaps a PDF file or a video or any kind of additional information, it's shared across all 10 sections in our example that we're using. So all of those students get the same material, the same instructions, the same content delivered to them in a lecture. The theory says that this is going to improve teaching outcomes and that there are a lot of benefits to this model. So you'll hear about the teaching outcomes later. What I want to do is I want to go into detail about the benefits according to our literature, and I'm going to turn it over to Greg for that.
Great. Thank you, Sheila. So I'm going to discuss the benefits of utilizing a team teach model based on our research. Now, I can tell you we've seen it play out in real life because we've been using the team teach model for many years here at DeVry University in different iterations. With a team teach approach, students often experience a more interactive and collaborative classroom environment. Teachers can model teamwork, encourage group work, and support positive peer interactions. This helps students build friendships and mutual respect, fostering a sense of camaraderie and unity among classmates. Multiple teachers often mean more opportunities for students to connect with at least one professor in the room. This can be especially helpful for students who might struggle in traditional settings. A supportive environment paired with inclusive teaching strategies makes students feel recognized, accepted, and valued, key ingredients for a strong sense of belonging. Team Teach naturally promotes a shared learning experience. Students see their professors working together and supporting one another, which sets a tone of cooperation and collective responsibility. This can reduce competitiveness and stress, encouraging students to adopt a mindset that emphasizes mutual support and shared success. The collaborative culture in a team teach setting often extends beyond the classroom. Faculty can intentionally form and support study groups, help students learn to work with a variety of peers, and create structured opportunities for cooperative learning. This not only improves academic performance, but also helps students develop those important social and organizational skills. The Team Teach model offers several valuable benefits for our professors as well. It helps build authentic relationships between colleagues through regular collaboration, communication, and mutual respect. Yellowly and Farmer stated this about Team Teach model. It increases trust and respect among faculty colleagues. Working closely together allows professors to share best practices, bringing diverse teaching styles, strengths, and perspectives into the classroom. Additionally, the model provides a strong sense of support, as professors can rely on each other for feedback, problem solving, and encouragement, reducing isolation and enhancing professional growth. One key benefit of using a team teach model is the ability to leverage shared faculty expertise. Lester and Evans stated that team teach exposes students to distinct life experiences and different academic backgrounds of the two instructors. When multiple instructors collaborate, they bring their unique strengths, backgrounds, and areas of specialization into the classroom. This enriches the learning experience by exposing students to a broader and deeper understanding of the subject matter. It also allows faculty to learn from one another, strengthening their own teaching practices through collaboration, observation, and shared insight. Ultimately, this collective expertise leads to a more dynamic, well-rounded instruction. A team teach model naturally supports active learning by creating a more dynamic and flexible classroom environment. With multiple instructors, it's easier to design and manage interactive activities such as group discussions, problem-solving skills, role-playing, and hands-on projects. One professor can facilitate while the other observes, supports, or works with small groups, allowing for more student engagement and that personalized feedback. Harris and Harvey noted, students acquire an extra value from seeing instructors responding to concepts or theories differently, taking risks, and taking distinct positions in relationship to the material being studied. This collaborative structure encourages students to participate, think critically, and take ownership of their learning, hallmarks of an active learning environment. The Team Teach model provides a flexible framework that allows instructors to adopt their teaching styles, content delivery, and classroom management to meet the diverse needs of students. Dang and Associates noted that the Team Teach model provides a more stable quality of course portfolio over time, as the teaching quality of individual courses become less vulnerable to staff fluctuation or dropout due to sick leave, sabbatical leave, or changing jobs. With multiple educators involved, it becomes easier to divide topics, alternate teaching roles, and adjust pacing as needed. This flexibility also helps ensure that specific concepts are included and thoroughly covered, as teachers can collaborate during planning to align on essential content and fill in any gaps. Additionally, by consistently modeling collaboration and co-instruction, the Team Teach model creates a familiar structure for students, helping them to feel more comfortable, supported, and clear on expectations throughout the course. Finally, another benefit of the Team Teach model is that it allows instructors to role model teamwork for the students. When teachers collaborate, communicate openly, and support each other in real time, they demonstrate what effective teamwork looks like in practice. This sets a powerful example for students, showing them how to listen actively, share responsibly, navigate differences respectfully, and work towards common goals. Skills that we all know are essential, not only in academic, but also in future careers and everyday lives. I'm now going to pass it back to Sheila.
Thank you, Greg. So there's a lot of theory there, a lot of literature, and just as we tell our students, okay, how does it really work? What did we do? So let's talk about how DeVry took all of that and how we implemented it. Now, keep in mind that depending on the modality, so we actually happen to have a DeVry on site, on online and hybrid, but depending on the modality, depending on the course, depending on the set of professors, it's not a cookie cutter approach, okay? So I'm going to go over the generic basic model that we have here at DeVry. And that is, first of all, there's a team lead. Okay, that person's called a team lead because they're experienced in the subject, and they are the ones that are leading that group of instructors that I spoke about earlier to collaborate and then figure out who is going to do what. And so that leads us to the course instructor. So we have instructors that are assigned. Let's just go back to our example with 10 instructors and one course being taught by 10 instructors because there's 10 sections. So there is an instructor for the course, and for that particular section, that professor will do the grading, will do the personal interactions with their set of students, okay? That's the course instructor. The presenter is the instructor that after this group collaboration, deciding who is most comfortable, who is most experienced, will go ahead and present the content for that particular week in the Team Teach live session, okay? Then we have something called the Chat QA Mentor. This role is when the live session is taking place, they can answer questions, they can add to the chat based on what students are placing in the chat, and they can make sure that the person, the instructor, the presenter, is not disrupted by the chat and having to stop and answer questions. This is the model that we have at DeVry, and remember, there are variations to this as well. So let's go to the next slide. So these are the required components of our model. First is a team lead, which we just described, who is the person who's going to be leading, in our example, those 10 instructors. And keep in mind, the team lead for one of our models is not teaching one of those 10 sections, okay? In this example, they're a lead over those 10 professors. They are going to meet with that team of 10 instructors prior to when the course starts. In DeVry, that week, those 2 weeks, we call them preview weeks. That's 2 weeks prior to the course. So sometime during that week, they're going to have, the team lead will have a meeting with those professors and decide, again, as I said, who's going to deliver which content and in which weeks based on the weekly course objectives. Now, we prefer to have the live lesson at the same time and the same day because it's just easier for students. They'll just know, for example, that Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern, that's when they have their live session. But of course, if we need to vary that, we can. But normally, we try to keep it consistent. What is also interesting is I talked about the literature and shared resources. We do have that here, both for the students and for the professors. So the shared folders for professors would be things like PowerPoint presentations, maybe some interesting articles to share with the students, lesson plans. What's good about this is for any reason, I think Greg talked about this in being able to cover each other in the theory, is what if somebody gets sick or there's some sort of emergency? You have another professor that can come in because they do know the material for the course, and they can pick up a lesson plan or a PowerPoint presentation and then personalize it for them to deliver if needed. Also, the same thing exists for students. If we want to give them videos or articles, if we want to give them assignment instructions, there's a folder in our LMS system in Canvas where we can put all of that information. So again, with consistency, all students in those 10 sections are getting the same information. So we're keeping everything consistent. All right, so what is important to know here is what are some of the best practices that we discovered. And we did discover some best practices. I'm going to turn that over to Michelle to highlight those.
Thank you, Sheila, for explaining how our basic Team Teach model works. I'm going to talk about a few variations, and I'm also going to talk about some best practices that we learned from literature, but we also discovered them in our model as well. So I'm going to be speaking to both literature and what happened with us here at DeVry, or what is happening with us at DeVry. So first of all, It is very important to have supportive leadership. It is essential to the Team Teach experience. Leadership needs to ensure that the faculty have adequate training, that they have the time and the resources available to actually, perform the way they need to. They need to have set up, leadership needs to have set up a structure that enables there to be collaborative teaching and learning. When educators are supported by leadership, they're empowered to bring greater value and success into the classroom. At DeVry, we have found that each team needs to have a strong leader. It's essential for one person to coordinate the planning, to take lead in the communication, to manage the team, and just generally keep the team organized and focused. Each member of the team should be able to trust and respect one another so that they can truly share their skills and their talents with the team, not just with the team of faculty, but with the students as well. Within the team, there needs to be clear roles and expectations. In our research by Dang and Associates, it specifically states that there should be a focus on setting clear expectation of roles to avoid perceived and unequal division of labor and power within teams. The most effective teams include individuals with similar levels of commitment who put their students' interests and needs above their own preferences. Next slide, please. It's essential that our technology be something that both faculty and students can easily and successfully maneuver. The technology should allow for effective communication, for collaboration, and to support active learning, giving opportunities to reinforce key concepts for faculty and students, and where faculty can deliver well-crafted lessons that focus on the learning outcomes. Having a flexible team teach model allows educators to explore new teaching methods, to embrace differences, to learn from one another, and to monitor students as they master those learning outcomes. Each member of the team needs to be flexible in meeting others' needs and having the desire to try new things that complement one another in the classroom. In fact, Perry and Stewart explained the differences in beliefs about learning and teaching are fundamental and most complex and important in team teaching. The Team Teach model provides faculty with support to grow and to develop their skill, to learn to use new resources, to explore experiences and share experiences, and to leverage opportunities. There are variations to our Team Teach model, which I want to speak to right now. These are not, every class doesn't have one of these variations. Some of them have two of them. Some of them only have one. Some faculty offer multiple lessons each week, where a different faculty member presents more than one lesson each week that covers the same learning objectives. Some classes offer shared office hours, where faculty teaching a specific course open their office hours to all sections, making it so that students can receive help from faculty members at various times, 7 days a week. Other instructors teach at a specific day and time each week, but they open their lessons up to students in any section taking that particular course, so students can attend the instructor's lesson that fits into their schedule. There are many different variations of Team Teach being done at DeVry now, and I'm sure that even more will be tried in the future. The Team Teach model has many benefits, as Greg has described, but it's not without its challenges. The model of teaching is thought, this model of teachings, it's thought by many to be a time saver. It makes sense because faculty are splitting responsibilities. They're creating and presenting not every lesson, but they're only creating or presenting one or two a session. So that should be a time saver. Well, one thing that often isn't considered is the amount of time and planning it takes to actually put all that together. Before a team can begin to teach, the faculty involved must create a detailed plan, A schedule has to be created, responsibilities have to be agreed upon, and when everybody isn't available to attend that particular meeting, it can take days of email exchanges before that plan is actually finalized. Teams continue to meet as a whole or in groups throughout the session to explore ideas and to finalize logistics, troubleshoot challenges that are occurring, and just making sure that one another are on the same page. At the end of the session, faculty often meet again to reflect on what worked and what didn't work and propose new ideas for the next session. After all, we're all striving to be teachers who effectively instruct lessons and guide our students through learning rather than just facilitate a discussion and expect our students to learn from assigned readings. Not long ago, one of the other faculty that teaches in the same team that I do expressed their desire to do some more interactive polls in the classroom. She had seen me do some polls and she wanted to try something similar, but she wasn't very comfortable in doing it. So we met together and I showed her what I did. And we ran a couple different types of polls together. We switched roles and then she gave it a try. And we role played until she felt comfortable running the polls herself. That one meeting turned into other meetings and has now turned into more faculty joining our group, brainstorming and sharing and supporting one another in ways that we can improve. Another time, a different faculty member and I decided we wanted to present a podcast-like lesson. This required a very detailed plan, more detailed than normal, a very detailed plan, and that took quite a bit of time. The collaboration was valuable. The lesson, I thought it was fun, and the students seemed to really enjoy the interaction between the two of us as faculty members presenting this lesson together. But it took hours of extra time. Either one of us could have easily have prepared and presented that lesson in half the time, but it wouldn't have been the same lesson. Team Teach requires consistent communication between faculty members involved. That communication is when we learn from one another's methods, perspectives, and experiences. Team Teach is not a time saver. It's quite time intensive. Next slide. Challenges tend to occur when faculty working within a team don't have the same perspective and they don't have the same mindset about teaching. Sometimes personalities, they just clash, and that truly dampens the effectiveness of the team. In these situations, faculty members don't have the same level of respect for one another, so they're not communicating any more than they absolutely need to. As a result, they don't share recommendations, they don't share suggestions to elevate one another's teaching. In these situations, students can tell that faculty are not working together and they're pretty much working in silos. Faculty are taking care of their portion of the course, but they aren't invested in the course as a whole. In some of the studies that we read, students provided feedback in these types of situations where they explained that the content was unclear because the setup and the differences in communication was causing them to be confused. The impact was significant enough in some cases that they consulted outside resources in order to learn the material. In other words, students ended up teaching themselves even though multiple instructors were available to them in the classroom. This was all because the dynamics of the team was struggling. For the Team Teach model to be truly effective, the faculty involved need to have a high level of trust and respect for one another. Think of some of your students who've entered the classroom in Canvas for the very first time, or whatever learning management system you're using. Next slide. Those students often bring with them a preconceived idea about how the class is going to be organized, how much time they're going to spend working on assignments, if they even need to purchase course materials. They might even assume that they already know the classroom policies and how the rubrics are set up. these students jump to a conclusion about that class that they're currently teaching is going to be just like the last one that they taught. Students involved with teams in some way inside or outside the classrooms also can have some incorrect assumptions. They may assume that lessons are going to be done a certain way, or they're going to last a certain amount of time. They may assume that everything is going to be the same in their classroom as it is in another section with another instructor. For example, I often post videos in my classroom to answer students' questions. This can cause confusion for students meeting in a study group or during a lesson when one of the students in my class refers to that video that's not posted in another instructor's classroom. End-of-course surveys can be difficult to interpret in the Team Teach model. We all appreciate it when our students give us feedback. We all want to learn how we can improve. When teaching in a team, however, it can be difficult to know which professor the student's feedback was intended for. Was it the professor who presented the lesson or the professor that helped the presenter in the chat? Was it the presenter who was on the video in the embedded curriculum? Or was it the professor who posted a video, say, in the announcements to answer a question? It can be the instructor who is assigned to that course can be left wondering who that comment was really intended for when they're reviewing those end of course suggestions. Now, I'm going to turn the mic over to Greg, who's going to share with us some information about outcomes.
Great, thanks, Michelle. So we've been doing the most recent iteration of the DeVry Team Teach model since March of 2024. So we're going on a year now into this newest model. And in November, we sent out a survey to our faculty who were involved in the Team Teach model, who was teaching a course that was part of this. And I'd like to share some of those results with you. So this was a lot of the questions, they're on a 5 scale. So strongly agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly disagree. And the results that I've got here, they're really positive from our faculty. For example, my team lead explained expectations as part of the Team Teach. So we're seeing that strong team lead that's necessary for success, as over 90% strongly agree that the team lead was indeed helping them acclimate to the model. The next question was, I was provided with the necessary resources as part of the Team Teach model, with over 88% strongly agreeing. So again, we're seeing those success parts, those best practices being met through our fantastic team leads, putting out there, a consistent model. And again, with that flexibility, as both Sheila and Michelle have mentioned, we designed our model to be flexible for different courses, different styles. We want professors to take risks and try something new in those live lessons. And the third question here was, live lessons are beneficial to students. And this one leads to what we firmly believe in health sciences is continuous quality improvement. And that's getting feedback on a process and then turning around and making sure we improve that process. And so, for example, in this particular question, while most strongly agree that they're beneficial to students, there was a slight percentage of 16% that said neutral. And then the next question in the survey said, what could we do to make it better? And we take those comments and we modify, we change, or whatever the requests are to improve that model of Team Teach. So we're always looking at ways to improve it. It's not stationary. It's always moving forward and looking for new ways to meet the needs of our students as well as our faculty. So my next slide. Much time, okay. Are just a couple of comments from that survey. Really positive feedback overall that we received about how they felt it was going. And I'll just read the last one. I love the Team Teach model. It is important for faculty to have connection with other faculty. It gives us a different perspective and allows new faculty to learn from more experienced faculty. I also think it's great for the students to be able to engage with a large cohort of their peers. So this is tying right back to the benefits that I talked about earlier of the Team Teach model. We're seeing it in action, and we're seeing some really strong results. Now, also in November, we did a survey for our students in a Team Teach model. So any student that was in a course that was utilizing Team Teach, we sent them a survey. We had about 350 to 400 respondents to that. And the numbers of the respondents was fantastic, as you can see here. At least 95% of those students watched or attended at least one live lesson. And I think that's one point that we actually haven't made so far, is that all live lessons are recorded and available to students throughout the session. So if they're unable to make it because of work, family obligations, they can turn around and watch that recording. It's typically available within an hour in our platform. So those students who can't make it live can always return and watch it recorded, or if they attended live and it was such a great live lesson, they want to go listen to it again, they have that opportunity to as well. With this statistic is really awesome. 50% of students who that responded watched all 8 of the live lessons or attended them. So 100%, they stayed for all 8 weeks, which is great. And then finally, this is even, I think, more impressive, is that 79% of students who attended a live lesson stayed for the entire time, which means we're able to keep them engaged and interested for the entire hour. Sometimes they go an hour and a half. Again, it depends on the course and the professor giving that presentation. So they're staying, they're watching, they're coming for all 8 weeks. Fantastic numbers. This is my favorite slide. We asked them to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. Our average rating was 4.5, which is pretty good, with 72% giving it a 5-star rating. So students obviously are enjoying the live lessons. They're coming, they're staying, and they're finding value in what's being offered to them. And finally, we did a word cloud over their comments, because again, we elicited comments from our students. What do they want? What are they looking for? And just here's a word cloud of some of the comments. Great questions, informative, time learned. It even has the word hard in there, which I like, because I think that life should be hard, so that you can overcome obstacles and feel proud of yourself. And then my final, I got 2 more slides. Now, I'm not going to read all these 2. These are, again, our direct comments from students in that survey. I'm not going to read them all except for the last one, because it's my favorite, and that's: the live lessons were resourceful and gave the in-person college experience feel. And that's what we want. We want students to feel part of that group, part of a camaraderie, part of a cohort, and get that college experience. As I mentioned, the DeVry Reimagined Team Teach model was in March of 2024. We started with 8 courses and 13 team leads. Less than 1 year later, we now have 11 courses and 19 team leads. I think it was Sheila who mentioned we run many sections of the same course every single session. So to give you an idea of the volume of students being impacted by our Team Teach model, we had 11 courses in January, which covered 211 sections, which included 11,304 total students. So we're really hitting those students and giving them the opportunity to participate. As we noted in the previous slide, faculty really enjoy the Team Teach model, with 97% faculty participation in the Team Teach live lessons. And then finally, our total attendance for live lessons in the January session was 17,106, with 9,500 attending live and another 7,600 watching those lessons, being, the recording of those lessons. So students are coming, they're watching, and we're very happy with the outcomes from the January session numbers. And with that, I know we have only a little bit of time left. I apologize, but thank you, Xingyu. But I'd like to, I guess, open it up for questions to the audience, and I'm going to leave it, though, on our student comments.
All right, thank you, Greg, and we really appreciate. And finally, I know how to pronounce DeVry University. That's great. And also, for our participants, please feel free to open your mic or type your questions at the chat area.
This reminds me of when you ask students a question and then there's crickets.
Which means they really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I also posted on the our session survey link here, so feel free to fill this out.
Thank you, Kim. For those of you who had not heard of Team Teach and maybe considering it, I'll just ask this question and maybe you can type in the chat if this is something you might consider after hearing our presentation.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Melissa, we can hear you.
Thank you. I would definitely consider this. So I was wondering, and I'm sorry I came in a little bit late. Are there resources or places that you would suggest we go to really get some more in-depth information on how we can make this work at our campus?
Michelle, do you want to, oh, there we go. Greg has got the, here's the research that was done. And I know, Michelle, you're,
I posted the slides. The whole slide deck is on the Discord site, so you will be able to pull it from there. I put my email in the chat, and I'm happy to talk things through with you if you are interested in chatting with me or any other member of our team. I don't know that I can't think of like one go-to like a great website or something that's like, here's how you do Team Teach Online. I think it's just we've learned a lot through trial and error, right? And that research, it's funny because we kind of did a little bit, or I did a little bit, and then we started doing research, and I was like, oh, yep. As I was reading the research, yep, we experienced that too. So I think that, yeah, there's different ways to approach it. There's not necessarily one right or wrong. And I'm happy to give you, I'm happy to be a person you can touch base with if you are interested in that. So I'm putting my email in there right now. Greg added his too, so yeah.
Michelle and Greg are on the teaching and learning side of the house. And so that's where all of the Team Teach is implemented. So of course, I have also was a part of it. I now focus on curriculum development. So, but not that I'm not willing to answer any questions. So I'll go ahead and put my information here too. I 100% believe in Team Teach, and I think it's made a big difference. Any other questions or concerns? Any skepticism?
I'll just
Okay.
add one more thing to anybody is that, I had mentioned earlier, we for the programs that we have in the College of Health Sciences, many of them are accredited, and a lot of the students sit for specific certifications upon graduation. And that was one of the impetus for Team Teach, was because we wanted to ensure that specific content was being delivered in those live lessons, gearing students, preparing them for these national certification exams. So if you have a program in that kind of model, it really is helpful to ensure, domains are being covered and things of that nature, which is very helpful.
That's an excellent
Yeah, and
point.
I did want to mention really quick, Dr. Saldana is one of our associate deans. She's joined us today in the chat. She just posted a link to an article that actually Dr. Saldana, myself, and another person collaborated on. We used a lot of the literature Greg helped to pull a lot of that literature, and so that actually, and I hadn't thought about this, so thank you, Dr. Saldana. This is why she's this amazing associate dean, right? She reminds us of these things that we forget when we're in a conference. That would be a go-to place where you could look at a lot of research that we've taken and compiled it together in an article. So that might be a quick place, Melissa.
The only other thing I was going to mention to Melissa or anybody else that might end up listening to this recording is that you can also start it informally. Say you and maybe another professor are teaching, and maybe you don't have 10 sections. Maybe it's just you and one or two other professors who are teaching. You could informally just try out a quote team teach model by offering your lecture at the same time, or offering your students to come to both lectures, maybe offering your office hours together. And so courses that are not necessarily deemed as team teach, I know I have done that with one other professor. I've done that even just to gain some of the consistency benefits and then more expertise available for our students.
All right, I think we are here on the end. So, oops, that's great. Thank you for joining us and give the wonderful presentation. And I hope all the participants will enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.